Something happens.
Listeners are like, why the fuck are they spending so much time talking about Ice Cream being Soundwave's grandson? Well, that's what you
save yourself.
Run, boy, run.
Run, Barry, run.
Too much energy.
Is one of them a squid?
Cheetor, what have you done?
Blah, 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
It's like throw her into the compactor. Well, you don't need this anymore.
Why do you always talk to yourself?
I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation.
Yeah,
Say Calabar! No! Say Calabar! No!
Night. Welcome to episode 55 of Too Much ENERGON, the Lasercomb podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I'm Neo Cal.
How's the move going? How did the move go, Cal?
I have moved.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an ongoing saga that's been kind of loosely documented on the podcast over the course of the past however long. So moves all done and settled into the new place.
Yeah, and anyone listening, I enlisted the help of my only able-bodied friend, Christopher Siege, for an entire afternoon of moving things around in a U-Haul van, pretty efficiently.
Yeah, everything kind of just everything weirdly just kind of worked out that day.
Yeah, like even to the point where we were like, man, can we make it to the dump site? Yeah, we got 7 minutes. Let's roll.
Yeah, and we made it just in time.
And then somehow it was like 5:11 when we got to the drop-off site at U-Haul, and I had it until 5. And they didn't try to be like, oh, well, technically you need to pay for 15 minutes in intervals. No, he was fine with it being 10, 15, 20 minutes late. So, yeah. and then the final test was as we were walking to my car, I was parked in a 2-hour only zone. And I was like, time to see if there's any additional expenses.
Meanwhile, it had been 6 hours by this point.
It had been 6 hours. Five, I can't even remember, an entire afternoon, multiple cycles, if you will, and no ticket. The cheapest move in mankind's history, folks.
Yep, and we did it. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We moved NeoCal.
Yeah. Now I'm in my new studio apartment.
Yeah,
paying more than anyone possibly listening to this would ever be comfortable paying for rent.
And meanwhile, it still looks like you are on planet Megatron.
That's right. I'm gonna set up my studio soon enough here, because right now we're looking kind of like this.
For the audio listeners, it's pretty much just a barren room with what looks to be the skeleton of a shelf.
Yeah, and there's a 4 foot
a random Darth Vader.
Oh, it'll be a cool pad soon enough. Yeah,
it will all come together.
Planet Megatron.
Planet Megatron. Yes.
Yeah, and then after the move, we bought $40 in Wendy's, and everything ended up okay. Let me tell you how much food you could buy for $40 from Wendy's.
Let me tell you what I got. I got a bacon ranch Asiago chicken sandwich, a large chili, what was allegedly only a medium Diet Coke, because I had originally ordered a large, but she was like, oh, we don't have large right now. Is medium okay? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And the thing is still fucking massive. Like, I'm like, how fucking big is a large? Because this is the size that I had in mind when I asked for a large.
Right? Like the medium was like a liter.
Yeah.
Like,
Or a quarter gallon for the majority of our listeners out there.
yeah, I have no idea what kind of Freedom Imperial units they they use. So 1 liter is about a quarter gallon.
Yeah.
Today I learned
It's what they would refer to as a quart.
a quart.
A quart. Yes. At least that's my understanding. American listeners, if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me.
Give us some knowledge, some Freedom units.
Yeah, reach out to us on Twitter. I am at Lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB, or the show at Too Much Energon.
Yeah, you know what's weird? Even though like Canada and the rest of the world is on metric, nobody knows how tall they are in centimeters, man. Everybody is like, I'm 5 foot, 6 foot, like whatever. I've never had a friend that's like, I'm 176 centimeters tall. Shut up. No, you're not.
I think I believe my height is 177.1 centimeters, and I only know that because it says it on the back of my ID.
I only know that I'm 180 centimeters because it's on my driver's license.
Wait, are you taller than I am?
Yeah, by like, I'm 5'11"-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm 5'10". I guess I never noticed.
You never noticed because I look like I'm shorter in pictures because I have big head and I'm thick. So I just look like a shorter person from a distance.
Well, I did just see you in person last week.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm often like doing this. And that makes me look shorter.
Just in a like suspicious, like evil villain.
Like a cartoon villain hunched over, like greasing my palms.
Just scheming. I got some new figures today from EB Games.
I can see.
Yeah, so I got my Generation Select Transmutate figure.
Yeah, I gotta say, so audio listeners, he's got a Transmutate, which actually looks pretty hype. It's like gold and blue. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the proper color doesn't really show up on the like through the webcam, but it's actually a really nice color of blue. Like, yeah, one of the reasons why I got the figure. The figure is like a redeco, a repaint of the, what was the name? Paleotrex, which was like a first wave War for Cybertron Kingdom figure, but they put a new head on it to give it the head of Transmutate.
Yeah. I remember I'm learning a lot about the how toys work from talking with Christopher, like week to week. Like so many figurines are just like Cheetor and Tigatron are exactly the same, but one's painted white and one's painted yellow.
Yeah, that's very redecos, they're called. It's very common in the action figure world.
Yeah.
So I picked this up today because I got a call from EB Games yesterday, being well, I guess they're GameStop now. They're GameStop in the US. They're GameStop in the US, but they just recently in Canada finally changed their name to GameStop Canada. They'd been EB Games for however long.
For 20, as long as they've been in Canada. Yeah. Electronic Boutique Games. Is that what the EB is for?
Yeah, I remember in like around the time the original Xbox came out, it was still called the Electronics Boutique.
Interesting. I wonder why they thought Electronics Boutique was more appealing to Canadians than GameStop.
Well, I think GameStop bought Electronics Boutique.
Okay, that makes way more sense. It's
Yeah.
like in Canada, I would never go to GameStop. I go to the Electronics Boutique. For our audio listeners, I just did pinky up, pretended to drink tea.
So when I went there today, I picked up my transmutate because I had pre-ordered it. And so they called me to tell me that it was in. And I'm like, yeah. So I got a call that was saying that I had a transformer come in. She's like, oh, okay, what's your name? And I give her my name. And she goes into the back, and I'm expecting her to come out with like this little box for transmutate. And she comes out with like this big like stack of figures, like almost as tall as she is. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, sweet, maybe like Rhinox and Scorponok and some of those other Kingdom figures are out. No. So among the things that she has is the Transformers Studio Series 86 Wreck-Gar figure.
I can see it now that it's up close to the camera.
I haven't opened up yet, but and this was also a figure that I had pre-ordered. So I'm like, hey, cool, sweet, all right. And also a Dinobot, also Studio Series 86 Dinobot Slug. He's actually Slag in the movie, but
Slug.
Slag is a bit of a derogatory term in the UK. So,
right.
a northern slag. So they renamed him Slug, and he comes with a minifigure of Daniel in his exosuit.
Oh yeah, look at him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. Like, all right, nice little figure haul. Even with my like Edge card discount, this shit all still cost me like $155.
And you got like the platinum Edge card.
Yeah. I got it because you saved 10%. And
yeah,
you know, on a day like today where I'm like buying like several Transformers all in one shot, like you really notice the Edge card discount.
Yeah.
But she also had a like Studio Series Thrust figure from like the Bumblebee movie. And I'm like, I didn't order that. And she's like, oh, really? And I'm like, no, I don't do the movie figures.
I do not partake in the recent movie figurines.
No, I don't. To be fair, in the Bumblebee movie,
culture.
in the Bumblebee movie, like they actually like the first. Have you seen Bumblebee?
I have not, but I've heard that it's good from you and reviews. Yeah.
The first 3 minutes of that movie is like, holy shit, this is actually like the Transformers movie we should have had like from day one. It opens on Cybertron. They straight up look like modernized versions of their G1 like forms. Like it looks rad, and they're like, yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out just for that.
Yeah, just watch like the first like opening like 3 minutes or so on Cybertron. It's rad. But so yeah, so there was a Thrust figure, and I was like, no, that's not mine. And then she had another one that was like from one of the Michael Bay movies, a figure named Grindor, which I'm just like, lol, Grinder.
Oh, that's what. Yeah. Grindor. Okay, here's my problem with the modern like Michael Bay era Transformers is they all just look like a million parts of metal.
Yeah, like a mess of like
it's a mess,
like fragments of metal, like just
yeah.
It's
and it looks even like worse when they give them moving mouth faces. Like I'm Googling Grindor right now, and he's just a mess. I can tell he's a helicopter, I guess, but it's just 1,000 CG like parts.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the figurine as well, and it's ugly. It's just a bunch of like.
And then there was a
ugly man.
And then the other figure that she had was like Ravage, which and not Covert Agent Ravage at your service. That was a terrible
Covert
accent.
Agent Ravage.
That was much better. But no, it wasn't that Ravage, because they are actually coming out with a figure based on that.
Are they?
Yeah, but it's going to be like a Comic-Con exclusive, or like some like convention exclusive. So not going to be able to
people
buy
that get it are going to sell it for $150 on eBay.
Yeah, so it's going to be like hundreds of bucks on eBay. So I'm like, well, that's lame. But no, so it wasn't that one. It was just like Ravage from like another one of the Michael Bay movies. And I'm like, dude, these figures aren't mine. I didn't pre-order them. And they're like, oh, well, are you sure? And I'm like,
you're the only Transformer nerd we know that comes in here. Oh, I remember him from the movies. I didn't even realize that was Ravage.
Yeah.
I don't like how they're designed.
That's kind of the Michael Bay Transformers movies in a nutshell. Oh, I didn't realize that like walking disaster of like random parts of metal was supposed to be this character.
Thank you. I'm glad that you can put into words how I feel about those movies.
I'll defend the first movie to an extent, because it's at least enjoyable, and I think Shia LaBeouf is actually pretty amusing in that film.
Yeah, I think so too. I find it's okay. It's just I can't get over how they're designed. They're ugly.
Yeah. But yeah, check out the first few minutes of the Bumblebee movie, because that will be like, you'll be like, holy shit, like let's just have a movie of this.
Oh, okay. Well, there is you mean just a movie of like Cybertron?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out. Man, I just noticed I have a dead pixel in my monitor.
Oh no.
Can't unsee it.
I know those feels.
Yeah.
It's there. You know it's there now, so it's all you're ever going to be able to look at.
Always. I'll just get it.
So what you're saying is that it's time for a new monitor.
Yeah. I hate my monitor anyway. For some god-awful reason, I bought it and didn't realize you can't adjust it. It has like a completely non-adjustable like stand that it sits on. Insane. In
the membrane, perhaps. Yes.
Not that I have one. I'm not a filthy organic. No.
Got a bit of an update. I'm hearing you sniffle a little bit.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But
right before you update, I didn't take my freaking reactant today, right? And I was fine all day. I was like, oh, I don't need it. And then talking with you, I was okay. And then literally like a couple minutes after, you were like, hey, do you want to start? And I'm like, yeah. My eyes start like watering and I'm like, fuck off.
I did take some today because my eyes were starting to feel itchy and like I was getting a little congested, and I'm like, not today, damn it. So
not today, body. Not today.
So while I was out and about picking up my figure haul, I went to a drugstore, not the same one that I went to last time, and I'm like, I need to get some more reactant. So instead of going to Shoppers Drug Mart this time I went to London Drugs.
Oh shit.
Which,
London motherfucking Drugs.
Which for the American listeners, which is most of you, London Drugs is a like chain of like drugstore / grocery / housewares / weirdly enough like computer store.
And also sometimes really good deals on food.
Yeah.
Like it just has a small food section, but like sometimes it's a really
good
it's
like
deal.
2 aisles. It's literally just 2 aisles in the store.
Yeah, it's like 2 aisles, and it's just like, oh, 2 bags of chips for $4. Okay.
2 bags of ketchup chips.
Ravioli? $1 a can? It's the most random store ever. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and that's okay. It can do everything.
So I went to and it's a chain that only exists in Western Canada. So I went to London Drugs to pick up some Reactin, and not Life brand this time. No, I found London Drugs's store brand.
Oh shit. No.
Wellness.
Okay.
So this time, instead of being the same price, which last week I mentioned the Life brand version of Reactin was the same price as Reactin for twice the amount. London Drugs' wellness brand knockoff of Reactin was the same price for 3 times the amount.
Okay, so
I literally
drugs.
So I literally got like 30 fake like knockoff Reactin pills for like $14. I'm like,
wow,
sweet. Yeah. And I took some today and they work like a charm.
30 for how much? For 14?
Yeah, it was like $14.99.
Nice.
Yes. So keep that in mind.
I will. People like listening are like, man, I don't fucking care about this stuff. But the people with allergies are like, you just saved me many dollar.
Yeah. If you're one of the you're one of the handful of people in Western Canada who listen to this show.
Go to London Drugs.
we do actually have quite a I see the download data. We actually have quite a decent listener base now. Last month was actually our biggest month for downloads. Yeah, across all shows except for the Shadow Raiders podcast. Playing the violin.
I'm miming playing the violin. I will go down in that ship.
But
well, boys, it's been a pleasure.
But yeah, the point is like I think like at this point like 80% of our listeners of this show are in the States.
Yeah,
so they're like, what the fuck is London Drugs?
Well, this isn't the UK. This
Yeah.
is Canada.
I thought you were Canadians. Why do you have London Drugs?
Shouldn't you have Vancouver drugs? Or
well, we
Toronto
have
drugs?
plenty of those. Yes, I work downtown. I see plenty of Vancouver drugs.
Usually laced with some sort of like terrible fentanyl additive.
Yeah. Not much crackhead related mayhem this week, fortunately.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on one hand I'm like, but on the other hand I'm like, well, on one hand I'm like, oh yeah, that's good, that's a relief. But on the other hand I'm like, damn it always makes for a story.
Well, if you want a story, here's one of my favorite stories from when I worked in the hotel. A man that came in, and he is of the homeless variety, had a perfectly bald, like it's like his forehead just kept going. And you know how monks shave like typically shave that like circle at the top of their head, but like the sides and back row like a little. It was like that, but that was his natural baldness.
So
and the sides.
So the friar tuck.
Yeah, the friar tuck, but natural. But the sides and the back were long and past his shoulders. And
Weird.
My coworker and I called him Yajirobe.
Okay.
Because he had come in one time, and he was acting like his umbrella was like a samurai sword. Like he was going to draw it from its sheath and cut us down. So we're like, you know what? This guy's nickname can be Yajirobe.
Was he a homeless dude or just a hipster? Because I've seen plenty of like neckbeard hipster types do shit
There's
like
no way
that.
to tell the difference.
They sometimes no. You're not wrong.
And I fought with this guy for the last decade, not letting him get free coffee from the lobby. A decade, man, all the time, right? Sometimes verbally abusive, sometimes very passive and just leaves, sometimes runs and tries to get coffee and sugar as much as he can. It's just never violent, but like not welcome. And he comes up to me very recently and he's like, oh, hey brother, blah blah blah, can I like spare some change? And I can't remember who I was with or what I was doing, but I was kind of like out in a public area and I was just like eating something. I think I was at a Starbucks or a McDonald's or something like that, right? Hey brother, can I have some spare change? And I like look at him and I'm like, you don't remember me, do you?
Mm.
And he stops and looks at me with complete sobriety and he's like, security? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so can I have some spare change or not? I'm like, no, man. No. And my partner was with me. I'm remembering now. No, bro. No. And he just completely left the store. He didn't ask anyone else. He just like, and he just like left. And I'll tell you one thing, even though he like balded prematurely, he looks exactly the same today as he did 10 years ago.
Well, obviously the streets aren't treating him too badly, you know.
But the thing is, he kind of looked 40 when he was 25, and then he just stayed looking that old. So come see, come saw.
Speaking of which, this week on Too Much ENERGON, we are talking about the 5th episode of Beast Machines Forbidden Fruit, originally aired on October 16th, 1999. And so the episode opens at the maximal base of the moment, and Black Arachnia and Cheetor are kind of doing a Morpheus and Neo type thing.
They very
back and
much
forth.
Yeah.
Very, very much. And Black Arachnia is like, come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like right from the fucking Matrix. To be fair, it's highly amusing watching a cheetah stand on his hind legs and like do like a Neo and Morpheus like Matrix fight.
Against the spider. Against the giant spider.
Against the spider. And I'm like, well, the spider's gonna win. It has 8 legs. But
so we got some kind of creature like hiding up in the rafters, like thinks he's motherfucking Sting or something, about to descend with a baseball bat.
If only.
Anyone who's listened to the show long enough knows that I like pro wrestling.
Yeah. And anyone listening to the show long enough knows that I'm not like an expert by any means. Any means, but like I'm much more knowledgeable than the average bear when it comes to my wrestling know-how. And
I am markier than the average bear.
There we go. And it's just enough that I understand Christopher's old wrestling references.
Hell, I'm wearing a wrestling shirt right now.
'Tis true.
Yeah.
It says cease and desist.
And it has the Young Bucks on it.
But something censored on it.
Yep, it's the Too Sweet. This is a pretty old shirt, so even before AEW was around, the Young Bucks, when they were on the independent scene, were doing the like Too Sweet sign with their hands, which was the thing the NWO used to do back in the day, which WWE now owns the rights to because and so WWE sent the Young Bucks a cease and desist order.
Are you kidding? You can't. What are you
No, I'm
gonna
not
do?
kidding.
Sue them because they're doing this?
Yeah, because they're doing the too sweet hand gesture. Yeah, that's
No, there's no legal.
well, and indeed they still do it. Like it was just
Good.
WWE trying to be petty.
They seem like petty bitches.
Oh, they
And
totally
by they, I mean Vince
are.
McMahon.
Vince McMahon, yeah, totally.
Yeah, so there's the Morpheus scene
Yeah,
with Sting watching in the in the rafters.
it's watching from the rafters, and Optimus is like says to Cheetor basically, "Come on, stop trying to hit her and hit her."
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Again, if you're ever wondering if the writers enjoyed The Matrix, here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
I'm loving how they animate Cheetor's face.
I know his cat face in particular. He's very cute. He's very
There's one, yes, yeah. There's one where
Yeah.
he's kind of angry. There's angry shots of him in this episode a lot, and I enjoy it.
Black Arachnia gets the upper hand on Cheetor in the fight, and then when her back's turned, she transforms, and when her back's turned, Cheetor goes into robot mode and then charges at her, and she leaps out of the way, and well, she like blasts Cheetor with like a cyber web thingy.
Cyber
and
thing, yeah.
Yeah, he goes back to beast mode, and Optimus is like, "Man, you got to find your center, bro.
Bad cat.
Bad kitty."
Bad kitty. You got to find your center, bro. And I'm like, man, shut up. Let them spar.
And so there's this bit where like Rat Trap like still can't transform, but like we saw him in robot form last week. And I mean, that was due to Megatron's like transformation enhancer virus. But like he kept like flipping back and forth between robot mode and beast mode. And now apparently he's just in beast mode again and can't go back to robot mode.
Yeah, he did it once. But then after that, it was kind of like it was failing. So
Yeah.
we're back and like, hey, that was that's a lesson with you can take shortcuts, but you won't better yourself from it. And
Right.
indeed, that lesson that he's like learned is it was unreliable and it was hurting him. Don't juice, kids. You don't take the juice. Sure, you get red and you get angry, but if you do it too long, your spark will shrink.
Your rat tail might not be what it used to be. There.
No.
At least that's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
So yeah, apparently the virus has like worn off or something, and Rat Trap's back to just being a stinking rat.
A lowly stinking rat who can't even transform.
Yeah.
So what happens here? Like primal gorilla tackles Sting off the top turnbuckle, and yeah, that literally happens. While the others are bickering, he just goes on a sneaky covert mission and like gorilla tackles this thing.
Yeah, they're busy like arguing with one another, and Gary Primal notices staying up in the rafters and then just like leaps up there and goes after him. He straight up like grabs him too, and he's make this thing. So Sting is actually a bat, we find out.
Yep.
And
big old bat.
Big old bat is making a very unpleasant screeching sound, I might add.
Yes. And just like real bats, they screech to ward off predators.
They also echolocate.
Yes, but that's usually imperceptible to the human ears. But these aren't humans. These are beast transformers. Beast machines. Damn it, I fucked it up. Editor, go back and fix that so it looks like I know what I'm doing. By the way, obviously, whenever we say that, we know there's going to be no editing. But my favorite thing is to tell Snidler on the air, oh, we'll fix that in post. We never do.
Snidler being
is one of our
Snidler being one of our co-hosts on our reboot podcast, Alphanumeric, and our monthly Shadow Raiders podcast, War Planets.
yes.
Yes.
There was a meme for a while where I thought he was like the wholesome member of Lasercomb.
Yeah, I remember that.
But now I'm thinking I am.
Maybe?
Maybe
I don't know. It's definitely not me.
wholesome.
Let me tell you.
So there's a part at 3, we're watching it on Tubi.tv. There's a part at 3 minutes and 50 seconds where Cheetor looks surprised and he's like, over there, there's a bat. And he points with his paw, and I love it.
Maybe I'll make that the show art. Who knows?
There's a lot of good Cheetor faces.
Yeah. So
They say something interesting, which reinforces our idea of that Black Arachne is like a historian. Cheetor is like, what? There are bats still alive on Cybertron? And Black Arachne is like, there were bats ever on Cybertron? And I'm like,
yeah,
good
I
point.
mean, yeah. Cheetor has been in beast mode too long. So Bat Sting fucks off and the Maximals give chase. Optimus is like, he's straight up like he's gorilla running. He straight up like smashes through like a bunch of debris. I'm like, wow, this is some like Rhinox shit he's doing right here.
Yeah, I'm really digging the giant like gorilla smashes through the debris. He breaks open a door.
Yeah.
Later, like a giant steel, like sci-fi locked door. This part's very video gamey, like it's a chase scene in a video game.
I really like the music in this chase sequence. Like, it's not the typical like chase music that we hear. That like
No, it's very electronic, like
yeah, it's a new song. We haven't heard it in the show so far, and I really dig it.
It seems like a racetrack, right? For like F-Zero-X or something. Like, because they're running on these kind of like sloping bridges and roads, and there's debris in the way, and I got video game vibes from it.
Yeah, and there are tunnels, and yeah, it's like Wipeout or something.
There you go. That's a good one.
Topical at the time.
Yeah. Played the shit out of Wipeout 64.
Wait, was Wipeout on the N64? I only ever knew it as a PlayStation franchise. But yeah, they finally
yeah, it was on the 64. It was wasn't great. Wipeout 64.
I feel like Sony must have bought the IP at some point. I'm gonna look it up.
We're going in.
We're going in.
64.
Apparently I can't spell Wipeout.
Nobody can.
I spelled it wired out.
Same thing, right?
No, not Wipeout 2008 game show. Wipeout PS1.
Well,
Wipeout video game.
Wipeout 64 came out in 98.
Okay, so so Wipeout, then Wipeout 2097. Oh yeah, Wipeout 64 is the third installment is the only Wipeout title not to be released on a Sony console.
It was well received at the time. I liked F-Zero-X better, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, literally every other Wipeout game has been on a PlayStation.
Wipeout 64.
What about the Wipeout Omega collection? That's a new thing. Oh, no, it isn't. Came out in 2017. It contains remasters of Wipeout HD and Wipeout 2048. Oh.
There we go, people.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the screenshot, go to the page for the Wipeout Omega collection. There is a screenshot from the game, and it is very Beast Machines looking. There's like the same shades of blue, and as we've mentioned on the show before, this is a very blue show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the underground ones. Oh, this is very Wipeout.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, here we are.
Well, we cracked the case, folks. Planet Megatron is just a series of wipeout tracks.
Somehow Rat Trap gets ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
And this part's comical. He reaches out of like a secret compartment or like a vent or something and grabs onto the bat. And the bat just keeps flying and Rat Trap's like dangling from it in the air.
Yeah.
And then they all try to get him, but like Cheetor is the one to wrestle him down.
Yeah, and Bat Sting like throws Rat Trap down, and Rat Trap like coils up and like spins along the ground like a wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hearing the show.
Oh. My bad, my dude. There we go.
So yeah, so the some shit happens, and Black Arachnia throws up one of her cyber webs and trying to catch Bat Sting. And anyway, Gary Primal ends up getting stuck in the web, and then Jetstorm shows up.
That he do, man.
Jetstorm and the Viacons.
I like Jetstorm.
I do too.
Yeah, so what happened here? Like, there's a "get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape."
Oh, right, yeah.
Reference from the bat.
Yeah, I skipped past that.
I enjoyed that. Just wanted to point that out. That's his first words. They find out it's not a wild bat. It's a Maximal.
A wild bat appears.
I'd be like, why would they even know what a bat is?
Well, maybe they saw one on Planet ENERGON.
And they named it a bat. And as we've discussed, humans named everything after what the Maximals called it.
Yeah.
Like full circle. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense.
Those makes sense to me.
they were teaching those Neanderthal kids how to talk. They were directly interfering with human evolution.
It's canon. English came first, folks. Don't
at us.
Yeah, so sorry, you were saying Jetstorm shows up and he's like, "Oh, well, it's time to make you all suck my dick." And lasers. Lots of lasers.
Yep. Yeah, and so the Maximals flee, and Jetstorm and the Viacons like fly after them because of course they do. Some more hype music plays. Slight variation of the typical like chase music. And yada yada, there's another chase sequence. You said early on in this show that like you had a feeling the show was going to primarily like consist of like the Maximals running from Viacons.
Yeah. What was that, episode 1?
That might episode 1 or 2. Yeah, it was very early on. You're like, I feel like this show is going to become just the Maximals running from Viacon drones all the time. And indeed, that's what happens.
Many times.
Sometimes
they fight them and win.
That's what happens here too. So yada yada, big chase goes on. Jetstorm sends out this like red disc thing. I think it's supposed to be like some kind of mine.
I was like, wouldn't just like blasters be more effective than whatever this guy's doing here? It's supposed to be like an automated drone mine, like a big explosive.
Yeah.
That like homes, from what I've gathered about their targeting, because the bat like screeches and fucks with their targeting in a bit.
Yeah.
It must seek out like maximal energy signatures.
You know what it reminds me of is in the first Mass Effect, you can press the back button on the 360 controller.
You're goddamn right.
And you can throw a mine that will just spin and sail like directly forward. And then you can press the back button again, and then it'll explode.
That is so weird because that's exactly what I was thinking of. and nobody except you I know. You know what? All the people that shit talk Mass Effect 1 were the people that only started playing Mass Effect at Mass Effect 2. I'm pointing at you.
And you. That's right.
And
Jeff.
you.
And Mark.
But yeah, that little mine, it had its own cooldown.
Yeah.
You could take skills to like change its cooldown and its effects and stuff like that. And it was so janky to use, but yeah, it could hover in place.
Yeah.
And detonate it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
I dig Mass Effect 1. What can I say?
There was so much lore that it was almost like info dump. I was like, oh, I don't get it. Are the Geth different than the Forerunners? And well, wait a second, that's Halo. I don't know what I'm talking.
I didn't really understand what the Geth were exactly in the first game. It wasn't until like the second game where I started to actually like figure out what they were. I'm like, oh, what's the difference between the Geth and the Husks?
That's I thought they were the same when I started playing, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're the same. Bad Geth, bad.
And okay, what's the difference between them and Sovereign? Like, are they Sovereign's army? Are they the same race? They must be. Turns out, no.
It doesn't hold your hand with the lore.
No, it
absolutely not. You got to comb through that codex for hours listening to that narrator's smooth jazz voice.
Yeah, that guy who I can't remember. He's a really like he's a really famous voiceover artist. Like he does trailers, and I think he does stuff for Disney and whatnot. Can't remember his name. Anyway, not important. So Jetstorm shoots out one of these like Mass Effect grenades and sends it off after the Maximals, but it turns out they're running in like a cylindrical hull, basically.
Closed circuit.
Yeah.
Something.
So basically, long story short, he throws it after the Maximals. They like round the corner and then like dive into like a trench in the floor, and the grenade goes sailing past them and right into Jetstorm.
Well, this is how I viewed it. Apparently, it's confusing enough. We have two different takes. It actually stops, spins, and then comes back towards them. Those blades in Wild West. The stupid magnet blades. That's not how magnets work. Anyways, and it's
magnets are not boomerangs, ladies and gentlemen.
Who would have thought? And Bat Boy like screeches at it and like fucks with its targeting system, and it hits the Viacons.
Well, I was just going by memory from watching it earlier while I was in the middle of eating dinner.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They blow themselves up.
Yeah. So they get taken out.
Oh, Bat Boy like screeches at them and it fucks with the drones, not Jetstorm. Right? It fucks with the drones, and their friend or foe recognition gets thrown off and they start shooting each other. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Doing some legitimate journalism as always here on Too Much ENERGON.
You got to document their powers because they're definitely going to come up again, right?
Yeah.
Much
like everything in these shows.
Just always perfect continuity. Every single episode always keeps in mind what's going to happen after it.
So is this the right here after like Jetstorm and fucks off? Is this the you messaged me earlier and you're like, oh, at a part at like 10 minutes or so into the episode, something made you laugh.
Yep.
So I watched this earlier, and you're gonna need to explain this one to me because I didn't laugh.
So there's a part at like 1020, where that's like, oh, they're gonna come back. You guys are gonna have to follow me. And Cheetor's like, can we even trust you? And he's like, do you have a choice?
Yeah.
And just in the weirdest, like smoothest cowboy voice, Primal's like, what's your name, son? And I don't know why. I thought that was so fucking funny. Just the way it's delivered. He's just like, what's your name, son? And it just reminded me of like our like, Cheetor, what have you done?
What have you done?
What have you done, son? And I'm like, he's calling him son? Because there's something like charming about a Southern accent person calling you son, or if you're a woman, calling you sugar, that no one else can get away with. And I got that slight feel from Optimus there. It was amusing to me.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah, and the bat's like, what are we, family now? And leads them to his magic fruit cave. I literally, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
the episode's called Forbidden Fruit, but
we'll get to the fruit thing in a minute because
right. Sorry, I skipped his origin story.
Yeah, so and this is what I wanted to point out. His origin story here is kind of noteworthy because this is the first time in either this or Beast Wars where we're actually seeing Cybertron and we're seeing Transformers not like in the shadows. We actually see like colorful, like
the robot dudes.
Yeah, like G1 style Transformers walking around. And I swear they're like we see Soundwave at one point.
Soundwave is walking around with this guy, which we end up learning his name much later near the end of the episode. Night Scream,
yeah. If you're listening to this podcast, you've watched the show before. Yeah. His name's Night Scream.
Night Scream is chilling with Soundwave. It is absolutely 100% Soundwave.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I guess he was one of the Decepticons that retired after the Great War.
Him and Ravage. Oh, well, that makes sense because Ravage was alive.
There it is.
So Soundwave had like retired and like must have signed like the peace agreement, and that means Ravage.
Oh, that is 100% Soundwave. Holy shit! And wow, he's chonky.
they're all kind of chonk looking. Hey man, he's retired. Give him a break. Give him a break.
Look at the size. Look at how wide that dude is in the butt, in the hips and the butt.
Oh, he's thick.
he's put it on a bit.
That is 100% Soundwave.
It is.
Yeah.
That's the show art for this episode. is thick Soundwave.
I'm gonna change my Twitter banner to thick Soundwave.
Make that your like Twitter handle now, thick Soundwave.
Capital THICC.
Yeah.
And he gets blasted. And Night Scream manages to run into a tunnel. So
it kind of looked like he was protecting Night Scream too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as family in here, but I got like brother vibes from that, like big brother and little brother vibes, because he stands in the way and blocks this shot that was going to hit Night Scream, and like he collapses as Night Scream runs off.
Well, maybe considering their considerable age difference, maybe he's like Soundwave's great grandson or something.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Oh yeah, because that. Wait, does that make Soundwave like millions of years old?
Yeah, I like how we said that in unison. Yes, literally millions of years old. To be fair, they were in stasis lock for a very long time.
Right. So technically he could be younger than right. Yes.
Well, because they're from 4 million years ago originally.
But then
And then they crashed on Earth and they sat on Earth in stasis lock for 4 million years and then get woken up. And we know that Beast Wars is set 300 years after.
After
300 Beast Wars is set 300 years after G1, like Transformers the movie. So we'll say it's set in 2305.
Right. And then so technically when they left planet Energon, because that was before the Autobots and the Decepticons woke up.
Yeah.
This is prior to the main timeline.
What do you mean?
Because we just watched Night Scream chilling with Soundwave, right?
Yeah, but this is in the future. This is after
right.
Transformers the movie.
Right. This is right.
Yeah.
Right. They're back to their normal timeline, right?
Yeah, they're back in the normal. They're not stuck in the past
transwarped
anymore.
back to Predacon and Maximal timeline.
Yeah.
Got it. But any listeners probably know exactly what's going on, and I'm like, okay. I feel like that conspiracy meme with like the different like bulletin points or whatever, and I'm like trying to like go through it in my head, and I'm like, it's a conspiracy. It can't be Soundwave.
So yeah, we'll say Night Scream is Soundwave's grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. To the power of 17, grandson.
Maybe Soundwave started having kids. Like maybe he got married after after the war, the Cybertronian War ended after Transformers the movie. So he got married at sometime after 2005, and this is 300 years after that. So yeah, it could be his grandson.
Okay, no, yeah, that's okay. You're right. That's lining up with the right timeline. Yeah. I hope that doesn't mean Soundwave's dead.
I think it does.
I refuse. He's just injured.
He's one of those sparks sitting in Megatron's auditorium.
Yeah.
One of those,
which is creepy if you think about it. He's like holding everyone's souls in stasis.
Yeah. It's very creepy. And it's also like, why wouldn't he just get rid of them all?
I guess so he can make Viacon generals.
But that wasn't his plan originally. That was just reactionary to the Maximals being there.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Like,
well,
let them go back to the Matrix and reincarnate, right?
The real reason is because holding them in stasis, like just killing them would
make
holding them in
murderer, genocide.
Well, no, but just holding them in stasis gives the show a bit of an objective.
It gives hope.
Yeah,
you can save Cybertron.
Yeah. Whereas if everyone's dead, it's like shit. There's nothing we can really do. Like
also, what's the point of winning at this point?
We can take revenge against Megatron, but like the entire world's still fucking dead.
Yeah, that would suck more.
Yeah.
Something happens. Night Scream falls down a shaft, and he goes, and I blacked out. I went offline, and when I woke up, I was like this.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a trope, and I hate it, where somebody falls down into a cave or something like that, and they wake up, and they've magically been transformed. And I play a tabletop game, RPG, called Exalted, and not one, not two, but three people. You're supposed to have this magic background about how your character became like a half god. They did something like astounding, something magical, super brave. They faced an army alone, but it's supposed to be epic, right?
Right.
A lot of players, their backstory is, and then I fell into a cave and woke up and I was exalted. That's the opposite of what is cool, man. Facing an army on a bridge by yourself, right? And exalting through that huge act of like bravery, right? That's That's how it should be done. I hate and I fell in a cave and woke up with magic powers. I hate that. I don't like it. And I see it everywhere. Anyways, just wanted to rant about that. That's what happens tonight, Scream.
Back in the back when the Vikings invaded and took over England for 3 years in 1066, there was a
good times.
There was a famous berserker Viking on, I think it was Stamford Bridge. There was a battle of the battle at Stamford Bridge. And like one like big like hulking like berserker Viking like straight up like held the line and like fought off like literally like hundreds of British soldiers, according to legend.
I dig it.
I dig it too.
I'm gonna find out who that is.
Yeah,
that is how you exalt people.
Yeah, look up the Battle of Stamford Bridge.
Okay. Well, man, have you seen the body build? Sorry, the strong the mountain of a human that plays the mountain in Game of Thrones.
Wasn't he played by four different dudes
The
over the course of the show?
Oh, maybe when he was like the spoilers for Game of Thrones, but maybe when he was like the zombie version of him, somebody else played him.
Pretty sure there were several people who played him over the course of the show.
When he wasn't in armor, it was what's that guy's name? Bjorn? Thor? I can't quite remember.
I don't know.
Bjornsson, right.
Yeah, he was played by 3 different people. He was played by Conan Stevens in season 1, Ian White in season 2, and then after he became a zombie, he was played by someone with a name I cannot pronounce.
An unpronounceable Icelandic Viking or Norwegian Viking name. But my point is, I just imagine somebody like that going against a whole bunch of like malnourished like Europeans from the 10th century. They're like 5'4", right? Wearing heavy chainmail, right? Like it's raining. They don't want to be there, right? And there's this like 7 foot tall, like well-fed, like guy in like the age of his prime, like the prime of his life, I mean, and he's just like
swinging an axe.
Just swinging an axe, like spreading like warm butter on bread.
He's just like swatting them away.
Yeah. Oh.
So the Maximals and Bat Sting walk through this like corridor type thing, and they come to this like underground area, and there's a big ass tree there.
It's
organic
a
life
grove.
Yeah, organic life on Cybertron.
How about that?
How about that?
This goes against everything I stand for.
Well, and indeed, something they're about to do goes against everything Cheetor stands for.
For some reason.
You
thought that too? It reminds me of anyone listening to this on our Patreon, on our $10 reward list. We actually cover the Beast Wars IDW run of comics.
Yeah, the ongoing 2021 Beast Wars comic book from IDW. We on, what was it, episode 47 of Too Much Energon, we talked about the first 5 issues of the comic. And we've already done number 6 on the Patreon, and we're going to be doing number 7 soon.
Yeah, and in the comic, I think Rat Trap is talking about, hey, like the food ain't so bad, and Rhinox has this like insane, like disgusting aversion to like eating organic food.
Yeah, it's really strange. Like,
and he's like, don't put that in your mouth. Like, that's an order. Like, oh, what are you, a filthy like organic animal? And I'm like, okay, Rhinox, I'm pretty sure you love beans, but
yeah. Well, yeah, and to that point, so Night Scream is like, oh, this is what I've been eating. You guys should eat some too. It's like fruit from this magical tree. And Cheetor's like, no, we don't eat food.
We subsist off Energon.
Yeah, we subsist off of Energon. And I'm like, but you can eat. We've seen in Beast Wars, we've seen Rhinox eat, we've seen Rat Trap eat, we've seen Pterosaur eat a bird.
Yeah. Yeah, they could eat.
Yeah, they can eat.
So this is where it's interesting. They are technorganic in beast machines. They're technorganic transformers.
Yeah.
But Night Scream right now is like Beast Wars Maximal.
Yeah.
And that he's closer to an actual animal when he's in his beast mode.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
So what probably happened was he got infected with the transformation lock virus which I don't know, it's weird. So it's like Megatron like all hates organics and yada yada, but his virus, because like when the Maximals from Planet Energon came back, they weren't in their transmetal forms anymore. They were in their like season 1 like beast, like purely beast forms. And now Night Scream, he was just a like regular like Cybertronian, like presumably turned into a vehicle. But after this virus like went out, he became a bat somehow. So maybe this is why Megatron hates organics so much, is because something went wrong with his transformation lock virus, and it inadvertently turned all Cybertronians into beast formers. And maybe that's why he is so like pissed off about beast modes.
So maybe like Maximals, as a result, some defense mechanism transformed them all into like beast formers, like you said. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah. And so like, which is not what Megatron's original intent with the transformation lock virus was. But and so maybe that's why he hates organics so much now.
And Night Scream says the ones that weren't taken out by the virus were all hunted down.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's solid journalism.
I mean, maybe. I don't remember. Like, I remember how in vague terms how the show ends, but I don't remember most like plot details. So this is just me like speculating here, and I could be wrong.
It's cool to speculate.
Yeah. So Optimus like convinces all of the Maximals to eat the forbidden fruit.
But Cheetor is like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, Cheetor doesn't do it. And immediately they all start going hog wild after they eat the fruit. Like,
they all start going ape shit on the fruit.
They start going ape shit and hog wild, almost literally. Their eyes start glowing red and they start getting dumber and acting more bestial. And
yep.
My takeaway was kind of that, oh, they basically just become like alcoholics or like junkies, like pretty much at the snap of a finger.
Yeah, it's immediately addictive.
Yeah.
And now they just keep eating because they're chasing that dragon.
Yeah, it's exactly what they're chasing.
And Cheetor doesn't realize that they're immediately changed, and he kind of like
he walks away in disgust.
He walks away in disgust because they didn't listen to him.
Well, yeah, because he thinks it's a bad idea, and they decided to do it anyway. And
there's a part at like 1410 when like Cheetor goes up and he puts his paws up against the planter for the tree, because Primal is like sitting up on near the tree, and it's like the most cat thing ever when he's got like his cat paws up.
Yeah.
like where he's sitting. I love that. It's like right after the commercial break at 14:10 or something. I've had cats do that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, and he tries to talk to Optimus, and Primal's like, sit, eat, it's strong.
Yeah. Yeah, he beats his chest and
I don't know. I think he does. I don't know.
no,
if
he
actually
does
but-
he does beat his chest, yeah.
And what they go have a powwow, Night Scream and Cheetor.
Yeah. So Night Scream like chases Cheetor down, and Cheetor is basically like, leave me alone, you stupid fucking kid.
Yeah, and he's all like, you're probably working with Megatron anyway, Bat. And he's like, how dare you say that? Megatron killed my grandpa.
Don't you dare say that I'm in cahoots with that monster.
Yeah. He
Or
killed
some
Soundwave, my grandfather.
He killed Soundwave, that bastard.
So in the middle of them bickering, Cheetor shushes Night Scream because he hears something in the distance. And I'm like, are you telling me a cat's got better hearing than a bat?
Yeah, I don't
No, man.
look at those ears.
Yeah, he literally flies around using echolocation.
Yeah.
But the cat rolled higher on his awareness check, I guess. And indeed, Jetstorm came back with a bunch of drones. Makes
Just
you
like
wonder
he
why
said
he
he
didn't
would.
just bring twice as many when he attacked them the first time.
So Cheetor decides that he has got to do something about the got to do something about this plant. It's got to get his Maxipals to stop shooting up.
Yeah.
So he notices the main trunk of the tree and like leaps over to it and slashes it with one of his like scimitars. Those are scimitars,
And
right?
Night Scream is like, no, as if he just killed like a sacred tree. And indeed, it's like,
Yeah, the
should he
tree
have
like
done that?
the tree like disintegrates.
It just, yeah, suspiciously.
Yeah.
Like a
Well-
video game.
Well, yeah, and Night Scream is seemingly mad because he's like, shit, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I supposed to eat?
Yeah, I'm stuck in this form. I have to eat organic food.
Yeah, which is a good point. But as soon as Cheetor, as soon as the tree, like, quite literally, like, evaporates, all of the Maximals, like, come to, and
Yeah. They immediately like snap out of it and regain their senses.
Yeah.
Like it was hypnotizing them or infecting them or something.
yeah, it's intriguing.
I dig it, man. I'm like, this show every episode surprises me. Oh, I forgot about the uplifting, when Primal beams like Oracle magic into Night Scream.
Yeah, so Night Scream gets hurt, and the Maximals like, transform, and Optimus is like, oh, I need to reformat him, which I'm like, oh, you can do that?
He
Okay.
Screw the Oracle. I have Oracle powers now.
To hell with the Oracle. I'm the Oracle now. As he beats his chest. I'm the fucking Oracle now.
You hear that? I'm God as lightning strikes.
Lightning strikes, the Titanic sinks, you know.
So indeed, he shoots blue energy from his eyes into Night Scream, and Night Scream's got a new form, baby.
Closest thing we've seen to eye lasers so far.
I'm holding out.
Yeah, Night Scream's got a new form. I kind of dig his beast mode.
Yeah.
And somehow he doesn't really need to learn how to transform. He just knows right away.
He was
So
watching them earlier in the episode.
Very, very, very quickly, it doesn't take him very long. He's like, I am transformed, and goes to robot form. Let me tell you, I don't like that robot form.
So I don't like a lot of things. Right?
I mean, yeah, I can say the same thing about.
I don't think there's anything on Too Much Energon I dislike more than Night Scream's robot form. He has an emo like haircut. I can't handle it, man.
He has emo hair and his fucking wings are at his ankles.
Like, who's that Greek god with the wings on the boots?
Oh, see, all I'm thinking of is Prince Namor from Marvel Comics, but I know it's one of the Greek gods.
Is it Hermes or
maybe, or
you know what I mean? Yeah, he's got that.
Yeah.
He's flying, but his wings are at his ankles, and I'm like, okay,
No.
Hermes.
Just no.
Oh, I don't like it, my dudes.
And that fucking face of his. Oh, this could be
don't
show
like
art
the-
too. Where he's like shooting his like sonic blast from his mouth. It's at on Tubi. It's at 1907. This could be art for the episode.
It's so ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing. I actually really like the voice for Night Scream.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I feel like he's kind of taking the role of Cheetor's place as being the like young kid of the group, because Cheetor is kind of coming into his own now.
And indeed, when they fight off Jetstorm and the rest of the drones and they retreat, Prime's, he does that go on without me for no reason, even though there's no bad guys around anymore. And he's like, oh, until I recover, Cheetor's in charge. He was the only one that trusted his instinct about the tree. And I'm like, my man, Cheetor's in charge, baby. Woo! Fuck yeah.
And right away, Cheetor tells the others to make a stretcher to bring Gary Primal with them. And Rat Trap's like, man, he's already barking orders.
Oh, in charge 30 seconds, and he's already barking orders at us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good idea. They're not actually going to leave him there. He's not Starscream or Pterosaur.
And we see like one piece of fruit left over that didn't mysteriously evaporate, and the camera zooms into it, and we go like underground,
This is trippy, man.
And we see some like glowing like vines.
It's roots, right?
Yeah, or
like,
roots, right.
Replanting itself like really like rapidly, but it's like almost techno-organic itself because it's like glowing blue.
Yeah.
And I think while that's happening, Primal like turns to Night Scream and he's like, well, are you with us, son? And he's like, yeah, Dad. And Night Scream joins the team. His bat form, A+. His robot form, I thought nothing
B-.
I thought nothing would be more ghastly than Rat Trap's robot form.
So what you're saying is Night Scream's robot form gets a no energon from you.
It gets a no energon. No
It gets a no
energon
energon
signifies that, oh man, there's no energon. It's more offensive than that. It's a deficit of energon. It's like being in stasis for 4 million years, lack of energon.
Well, speaking of energon, that's been episode 5 of Beast Machines. Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes of Beast Wars, Beast Machines, comic books, and whatever else we decide to review at any given week. On the Too Much Energon scale, it ranges from a sufficient amount of energon, or derp, I fucked that up. It ranges from not enough energon to a sufficient amount of energon to too much energon. Basically bad, okay, good.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe after all these episodes, like I finally like fucked up saying the rating.
I think that's the only
That is the only time. I fuck it up on the reboot podcast.
It only
that
took
we
a
do.
year, folks.
Yeah, I fuck it up on the reboot podcast that we do all the time, but this is the first time I've ever done it on Too Much Energon.
It's basically a meme on alphanumeric, our reboot podcast. Where
Yeah, all of us not knowing the rating
never
system.
get it right, or we forget one.
Yeah. So Cal, on the Too Much Energon scale, what are you rating Forbidden Fruit?
I wasn't expecting. Again, it's like, oh man, is this show going to be about the Maximals running away from the Viacons? But those parts are short, and they mix it up. Ooh, it's a Mass Effect mine. Look out.
Yeah.
Right? So they mix it up. And also Jetstorm. He's fucking hilarious. He's the charismatic shithead. Right?
Yeah.
So man, the magic tree and the bat, like I'm giving it a score based off of the entire episode, not the sum of its parts. Because boy, do I not like Bat Boy's robot form. But it gets a Too Much Energon from me. Like I thought it was great. And I'm intrigued about what the hell is going on with this evil tree. Evil? Yeah, I want to say evil.
Okay. I'm leaning toward giving it a Too Much Energon, but
follow your heart, man.
I think it's going to get a very high sufficient amount of Energon from me. I think the episode kind of drags a little bit in the middle, like when they're doing their like wipeout chase sequence, like
because they do it twice.
Yeah,
they're chasing the bat, and then they do it with the Viacons.
Yeah, right? And like that whole sequence like could be, it doesn't really add much to the episode other than just adding chase sequences.
Other than letting us talk about Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's completely fair. They really drag out, but I really like the flashback. I really like the idea of the tree and like how like Primal can he's so in touch with the Matrix now that he can uplift other Maximals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like the beginning. I like Sting hiding in the rafters. I like Cheetor and Black Arachnia doing the Matrix fighting, and even the chase, like when they chase down Night Scream the first time, that makes sense. It's just fun. It's redundant when they throw in the Viacon chase. They could have taken that whole bit right out of the episode.
Yeah, agreed. Also, I like Night Scream. I like his voice acting. I like him being like the young one now. Don't like his robot form. Neither of us do.
You know what? It's gonna get a low Too Much Energon. Like one 3-minute sequence. Like, I don't know. It doesn't ruin the episode. It's just like it kind of sticks out.
That's what I was trying to say. That for me, like whenever we do Too Much Galavar, Too Much Energon, whatever, I try not to judge it based on like the sum of its parts.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I try to look at it as a whole and I go, did this give me new information? Was it entertaining? Was it funny?
Mm-hmm.
Soundwave dead, confirmed.
Soundwave, Night Scream's grandpa, confirmed.
It's canon.
Yeah, it's canon.
It's canon.
Too much canon.
So I think Christopher's saying that it's Too Much Energon.
It's a low Too Much Energon. It's a very dispassionate Too Much Energon, but it is a Too Much Energon, which means so far we are 5 for 5 with Too Much Energon ratings of Beast Machines.
Wow. I can't wait for that to come crashing down.
Watch next week's episode just be absolutely fucking horrible.
Next week's episode is, dear listeners, the weak component.
Yep, episode 6 of Beast Machines.
Oh, I just read the little episode descript. Okay.
Yep, we'll find out in a week's time. Yes. Best way to support the show is whatever you're listening to this on. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a 5-star rating, anything helps us out with discoverability. You can also help us out by supporting the Patreon page. Patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. Starting at the $5 and up tier, you get literal hours every week of preamble audio where we shoot the shit of all of our various shows that we do. It's also a fun way to get some like spoilers about what's to come, because we usually plan this shit out when we're talking during the preamble. So if you want a little taste of what's to come, that's the way to find out. Cal mentioned earlier, $10 tier, you get Too Much Galavar once a month. You also get our weekly stupid news program, Lasercomb Tonight. And when I say stupid news program, I'm not saying the show itself is stupid, although it kind of is. I'm just saying it's what we tend to mostly just talk about dumb news stories.
Yeah, completely throw away. They tend to often have a Florida man feel.
Yeah, Florida man feel, or someone on meth.
Yeah, it's not an episode of Lasercomb Tonight unless it involves someone on meth.
There's also the $25 tier, which gets you our monthly movie commentary track. We just did one recently for Tommy Wiseau's 2003 disaster piece, The Room.
I've never seen it before.
Which was a lot of fun. It was me, you, it was the whole alphanumeric crew. Me, you, a Lady Glitch, and the Snidler, Mr. Alphanumeric rating himself. Also at the $25 tier, you get a t-shirt after 3 months. You get to pick, can either be a alphanumeric shirt or a Too Much Energon shirt. And this is a new thing going into the $25 tier. Very soon, and if you're listening to this in real time, by the time you see this in your podcast feed, there's a good chance that our new show, the Lasercomb Podcast, will also have gone live.
The Lasercomb Podcast.
The Lasercomb Podcast. At the time of recording,
so excited.
we are going to be starting recording the first episode of the Lasercomb Podcast tomorrow. So what the Lasercomb Podcast is Lasercomb Podcast is going to be a weekly show where we watch a random episode of a classic TV show. Could be live action, could be animated, could be a show from our childhoods, could be a show from 5 years ago.
Could be The Price is Right.
Nothing is off limits. Although it should be a narrative series. So no game shows, no reality shows.
Yeah.
And at the $25 tier, if you subscribe to the Patreon at the $25, you get to pick the show that we cover a random episode of.
And indeed, somebody has. So the first episode of the Lasercomb Podcast is going to be about the mid-2000s Canadian live action animated hybrid show Dark Oracle. And I had never even heard about it.
I had never even heard about it either. I've already watched it, and without getting too much into it, I liked what I saw.
I was surprised. I'll leave it at that.
So if you want to hear us talk about literally any show you want on the Lasercomb Podcast, subscribe to the Lasercomb Patreon for $25. Patreon.com/Lasercomb. Social media, Facebook.com/TooMuchEnergon or Facebook.com/Lasercomb. You can also follow the show on Twitter at TooMuchEnergon or me at Lasercomb, spelled the same way as the Patreon, LAZORCOMB.
You can creep me on Twitter, Neo_Cal with a K. You can follow my adventures and posting pictures of birds and talking about Dogecoin and fighting the landlord.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Christopher Siege, SIEGE. As you mentioned earlier, we will be back next week with episode 55 of Too Much Energon, which will be about the 5th episode of Beast Machine.
The
Sixth episode.
Sixth, yes.
Episode 56 of Too Much Energon.
These are flying by.
They are flying by.
Did we talk about every level of the Patreon?
No, we didn't. There is actually a new $100 tier of the Patreon. I don't expect anyone to subscribe to it, but if you want to, you will get 3 t-shirts after 3 months. You'll get a t-shirt for Alphanumeric, you'll get a t-shirt for Too Much Energon, and you will get a t-shirt for the Lasercomb podcast. You can also pick a show for us to talk about on the Lasercomb podcast, and you can be on the podcast with us to talk about it. So if you want to do a show with us talking about a random episode of Blue's Clues, all it's going to cost you is $100, baby.
Yeah, and you know what? I grew up babysitting my younger siblings and cousins. I'll talk the shit out of Blue's Clues.
Or whatever show you want.
As long as it isn't Babar.
Oh, that's just putting a challenge out into the world right now.
Oh shit. Editor, cut that out. All right, folks.
Special announcement too. We coming up not next week, but in 2 weeks from now, we have a very special episode of Too Much Energon, because that episode will fall on September 16th of 2021. September 16th, 2021 is 25 years to the day of the original air date of the first episode of Beast Wars. So we have a very hype episode of Too Much Energon planned.
I'm excited.
There's the format of the show is going to be completely different, and there's going to be a little segment in it that we've already recorded and I'm really excited about. It's a bucket list kind of thing. I'm so excited.
I want to talk about it so bad, but I'm waiting.
But it's going to be a surprise. We'll find out. That'll be episode 57 of Too Much Energon in 2 weeks.
I'm excited.
All right. That about does it for episode 55 of Too Much Energon. We're going to get out of here. I've been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I am Optimus Neocal.
And until next week, I am transformed.
Stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Bye-bye.
Beast Machine.